Let's get everything, whoa!
We're keeping that in.
Let's get everything tidied up. Hey guys, Harry here from Showchrome, and today is a big day in the Showchrome studio. We are unveiling the installation video for the Form Fusion Spyder trunk light. We're just absolutely jacked up. This product has been 2 years of development. I'll tell you, it's not easy for our developers to get a contour around the side of the Spyder, form-fitting with run, brake, and turn signal functionality and sequential turn signal in the LEDs. This light is the highest up on any Spyder out in the market, syncs perfectly with your turn signals, provides bright brake visibility to let people know that you are stopping or turning left and right. And what's perhaps best, it's a really easy installation. We're gonna walk through it A to Z today. The basic steps: remove the seat, remove the trunk, drill holes in the trunk, insert and wire your lights, reinsert, start riding. Let's get into it. Tools for today's installation include a drill, step drill bit or the Brad Point 1/2-inch drill bit, 10mm wrench, T20 and T15 Torx, using a T-handle of either of these or the socket with ratchet, flathead screwdriver, rubbing alcohol with a clean rag, and masking tape. First step, if you have a driver's backrest, is going to be remove the backrest and then pop open your driver's seat by pressing down and clockwise, and it'll lift. Press those tabs underneath the seats and then eject. We're going to disconnect the passenger wire harness. This is affixed with a slide lock underneath the seat. Remove it. This is your harness. Small tab down, pull apart to eject. Then you can remove the passenger seat. We are going to open up the trunk and remove the 2 screws that are connected to the backside of the passenger seat with our T20 Torx. Close up your trunk to remove the passenger seat, lift up and out, and it's an easy takeoff. Next step is to open your trunk. Now while holding your trunk, because once you remove this trunk shock, the lid will close by the weight of the trunk. Come in, get a flathead screwdriver underneath this small piece of the trunk shock and pop it out, which will then release. We're going to take off these 2 hinge pins using our T15 Torx and our 10mm wrench. Make sure you pay attention to the fact that these 2 pins are different sizes. So keep them separate when you remove them, because it's going to be important when we reinstall the trunk on the back end. So as we said, these hinge pins are different sizes. The shorter one goes onto the left side, longer on the right side, and that's from the driver's orientation. Our next step is going to be remove the trunk and place it upside down. As you can see, our drill holes are already in place. We've been riding with this trunk light, part of our quality testing, for several months, so we can't drill on top of a drill, but we're still going to walk through the whole process and get you all comfortable with where your drill holes are going to be placed. First step is place 2 pieces of masking tape on the 2 different panel left and right sides of the trunk. So masking tape sizes anywhere from 3 to 5 inches. All right, so masking tape applied. Let's now find our drill holes. I have a ruler, a pen, and a Sharpie. Follow the bottom contour of the trunk to this bottom apex point. We call that the sharp point. Your goal is to build a 90-degree angle from that sharp point. Draw a 1-inch line straight down, and then grab your Sharpie, 9/16 of an inch up directly from 90-degree angle on that sharp point. That's the center of your drill hole. All right, so with your drill point set, you're moving on to drilling. Of course, we've already drilled holes, but to give you guidance, of course, grab your drill, your step drill bit, brad point drill bit. These are gonna help make sure that you don't do any damage to the trunk. So use either of these two bits and drill your hole. Holes drilled, congratulations. We're now moving on to reassemble the trunk. Make sure that for your trunk shock, you're sliding it into the driver's right side hinge slot. Remember, when you're working with these hinge pins, there are two sizes. The shorter one goes on the driver's left-hand side, and you want to insert the pin hardware from the outside in. Hinge pin's now reinstalled. Activate the trunk, give yourself a little leeway, and reinsertion of the trunk shock snaps right into place. Next step, clean rag and your rubbing alcohol. Clean down the area where the Spyder trunk light is going to be placed. Give it a few minutes, make sure that it dries completely. Alcohol has dried. We're now getting our light out of its packaging. Unwind your cables here and your wires. First thing you're gonna do is get these wires in through the drill hole. Following that, we're gonna assess how we're lining up the light onto the trunk. Get a feel for this. This is of course something that you do not wanna take lightly. Once you feel like you've got the wires in and the light is flush, your final step is gonna be to remove the 3M adhesive protection and begin from the outside of the trunk light to adhere the light onto the contour of your trunk. All right, we have our two left and right lights on the trunk, adhering strongly, ready to fasten our wires. So we've got some cable holders. We've given you 20 of these. You certainly don't need 20. We've taken the liberty of already applying ours inside of the lid of the trunk. First step is line and clean with rubbing alcohol the surface. Let it dry completely. Your cable fasteners are gonna have a standard adhesion backing. You're gonna want the teeth down toward the bottom of the trunk. Slide your wires right in for a nice concealed profile all the way down inside the lid. Once we have our cables fastened and tightly adhering to the side of the trunk, we're gonna slip the cable around toward the front of the vehicle. Now, before doing so, you can see we have additional fastener here. If it's blocked by the armrest, forgive me, but we have a fastener, cable fastener here, a cable fastener here, and then two more right here. Just like before, make sure you rub that down with rubbing alcohol before affixing. Let it dry. Slap on your cable holders and then we're going to tightly, neatly get the cables back in for a discreet hold prior to inserting the end of the cable right down into this hole before our next step. After you get the first side, we'll just prepare and follow suit right on the other side over here. This keeps everything out of the way. Make sure that when you reinsert the passenger seat, nothing happens and your cables stay neatly confined to the Spyder. All right, guys, so we are up close and personal in our trunk now. And we want to let you know we have to lift this trunk up. This can be a little funky. If you're having some trouble rotating it 90 degrees to the left, try to give the trunk a little lift. And that might allow you to unlock it. All right, so we rotated that top dial inside the trunk 90 degrees counterclockwise to unlock the trunk. There's a final step. We want to depress in this button right here, lift the trunk up as much as possible, and wouldn't you know it, we have our 2 cables that we threaded through the top hole waiting for us. All right, so we're now under the bottom of the trunk. We have our 2 cables. You can see this small cable box here. Get this down, and there's going to be a small hole that is confined by a rubber housing. You want to slot your left cable through that hole toward the left, and your right cable through that hole around the right. And we're going to take a look on the other side. I'm going to explain why you want to thread them to the right and to the left. Ultimately, it's because when we put that seat back down, we don't want anything in the seat chomping down on our cables. We're going to make sure they're separated so they've got a nice clean break and everything is in place. I was telling you before about the wires. You want to make sure that these separate left and right of this small wire block, because if they're resting on top, when you reinsert the seat, it has the propensity to pinch there on the top. So we're going to keep these wires separated. But now we're installing our wire harness. This is part number 41-265WI. It is the plug and play wire harness from Showchrome. We highly recommend using plug and play harnesses. You don't have to, and our instructions provided show you how to wire this baby up without the wire harness. Today, we're going to make life easy on us here in the studio using our wire harness. So first step, locate the OEM tail connector. That piece is right here. You're going to take a flathead screwdriver on this plastic piece, get this ajar from the unit, just pop it off. From there, press down and pull apart. In order to release the 2, you'll see there's a male and a female section. Take our wire harness, connect male to female. You will hear a snap that I think we just heard. Same story on the other side. Clicks into place. And now you have a yellow to yellow and a yellow to pink set of wires. Yellow to pink is to the left. Take your left wire, make sure that you're orienting this top notch appropriately. Small click, same story again, top notch, small click, and after all this work, you're gonna be pretty jacked up. Now is the time to test your lights. Let's go see how they're looking on the back. You're gonna know, hit right indicator, you're gonna have the right sequential turn, hit left indicator, left sequential turn. If somehow you've gotten them mixed up and the lights don't work, just flip them. And if you find yourself with a flickering or any type of other mechanical error, it's likely that you've just oriented the rotation on your connector to the light 90 degrees the wrong way. Just play with it and it'll work out. Let's jump to the back. All right, now the fun part. So we've gone through all the hard yards here to get this installed. We're kitted up, plug and play harness connected. Moment of truth. Let's check our lights. Brake on, running on, left indicator, right indicator, and as always, want to check your hazards. We're now going to just tidy up the front end here. So final check, just make sure that this clip and all your harnesses are fully secure. Same story here. Clip is all the way in. That'll indicate that you're secure. Both should have clicked already. For our primary cables to connecting to the light, remember that we're going to put these to the right and the left. Yes, we're a little short on real estate with this light, so tuck it underneath this OEM cable here. That'll give you a little more to play with. And then your last step is just tuck this underneath as much as possible. It's never going to go completely away, but you've got enough room there. Remember to keep your seat connector available, and then we're going to button this thing up. Next step is to reapply the seat. First thing you want to do, again, reconnect the seat harness. You'll hear a click. Just recall that there's a little slot here underneath, hopefully you can see that, that is required to slot right in to the housing underneath. So be sure to do so, it'll stay tidily in place. And then you're gonna wanna bring your seat underneath, come at it at a little bit of an angle. There are two teeth on the backside that you gotta slot in underneath, and then some nice forcible downward pressure, and you'll be back in business. Next step for reassembly is the passenger seat backrest. Right in the slot. That one's an easy one. We'll pop right back in. You'll know when it's on. I'll say from there, before we go to the backside and reinstall the two screws to affix the seat, we're gonna find the backrest that we removed. Slot that back in. Perfect. So, final step. Take your T20 Torx, and in our case, we have an organizer that we use. Line up your screws. All right, so that's a wrap. We've got the Form Fusion Spyder trunk light installed. Again, we couldn't be more excited about this product. 2 years of development. This is the highest lighting on a Spyder out in the market. It's great for visibility. It's great for safety. It's cool. I mean, this forming light took a long time for our team and our developers to fit to the contour of the vehicle. Sequential turn signal functionality, top of the line tech, and we just had a lot of fun designing it. So ride safely. If you have any problems, give our team a call, 888-244-2453. Ask for Brandon, Brad, Thor, or Alicia. They'll all be happy to help. And as always, ride safely.